When you look at someone, remember that everyone has a story. Everyone has gone through something that has changed their life, their hearts, and their destiny, including you. Welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here. Here we talk about personal development, relationships, and mental health, just to name a few. My name is Carmen, a registered counsellor who is passionate about coming alongside people. This podcast is designed to create a discussion and bring awareness around what matters most in life, and that includes you. The goal is that each episode will leave you feeling encouraged, equipped, and empowered so you can live your best life. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode, and I'm so glad that you could join me. And it's that time of the week where we unpack topics together. But before we get into it, sometimes a little effort can make all the difference. Today I decided to light a scented candle while I prepared for this episode. Now and again, I will stop and take in the beautiful scent and look out my window. I made a conscious decision that I would take responsibility for my happiness and incorporate the little things during my day that bring me joy. An indicator for myself that when I have too much going on is when I find myself too tired to do the nice things for myself. So what brings you joy? What are those little things that you do that brings a smile to your face? I would love to hear from you. In today's episode, we will be covering domestic violence. And I know this can be a sensitive topic. However, I believe it's a necessary one because it brings awareness to what it is and what we can do to change the current statistics and how and where to get support. By unpacking domestic violence, it will help us to frame what abuse is and the forms it can take. If we are unaware of what it is, we are unable to create boundaries in our life or get the help that is needed for ourselves or someone else. Domestic violence occurs when a family member, partner, or ex-partner attempts to physically or psychologically dominate or harm the other. While women are at greater risk of family, domestic, and sexual violence, men are more likely to experience violence from strangers and in a public place. However, it can affect everybody. Women are most likely to know the perpetrator, often their current or a previous partner, and the violence usually takes place in their home. Domestic violence can be exhibited in many forms, including physical violence, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, intimidation, economic deprivation, or threats of violence, to name a few. And we will unpack these further in a moment. Domestic violence occurs in all geographic areas of Australia and all socio-economic and cultural groups. 1 in 6 Australian women and 1 in 16 men have been subjected since the age of 15 to physical and/or sexual violence by a current or previous cohabiting partner. Some groups of people are at higher risk of family, domestic, and sexual violence, particularly Indigenous women, young women, pregnant women, women separating from their partners, women with disability, and women experiencing financial hardship. Women and men who experienced abuse or witnessed domestic violence as children before the age of 15 are also at increased risk. Nearly 2.1 million women and men witnessed violence towards their mother by a partner, and nearly 820,000 witnessed violence towards their father before the age of 15. People who as children witnessed partner violence against their parents were 2 to 4 times as likely to experience partner violence themselves as adults, compared to people who had not. Is it fair to say that history has a habit of repeating itself? What we accept will continue, not only for ourselves, but for the generations to come. Abuse is serious, and in 2014 to 2015, on average, almost 8 women and 2 men were hospitalized each day after being assaulted by their spouse or partner. And from 2012 to 2014, about 1 woman a week and 1 man a month were killed as a result of violence from a current or previous partner. I want to highlight that abuse is not okay, whether you can physically see the abuse or not. So what do power and control look like? Intimidation can look like making someone afraid by using looks, actions, gestures, smashing things, destroying property, abusing pets, and displaying weapons. Emotional abuse looks like putting someone down, making them feel bad about themselves, calling them names, making someone think they are crazy, playing mind games, humiliation, and making someone feel guilty. Almost 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men have experienced emotional abuse from a current or previous partner since the age of 15. Isolation takes on its form by controlling what someone does, who they see or talk to, what they read, where they go, limiting outside involvement, and using jealousy to justify actions. Minimizing, denying, and blaming looks like making light of the abuse and not taking someone's concerns about it seriously. It is saying the abuse didn't happen, shifting responsibility for abusive behaviors, and saying the other caused it. It can look like using children to make the other parent feel guilty, using the children to relay messages, using visitations to harass him or her, and threatening to take the children away. Gender privilege can look like treating others as a servant, making all the big decisions and being the one to define men's and women's roles. Economic abuse looks like preventing someone from getting or keeping a job, making the other ask for money, giving him or her an allowance, taking their money, not letting them know about or have access to the family income. It looks like making threats or carrying out threats to do something to hurt another, threatening to leave, to commit suicide, or to report him or her to welfare, making the other drop charges and making him or her do illegal things. There are ways to get help, and a starting point is to call 000 for police and ambulance in Australia if you or if someone else is in immediate danger. 1-800-RESPECT, and their number is 1-800-737-732, is a 24-hour national sexual assault, family and domestic violence counselling line for any Australian who has experienced or is at risk of family and domestic violence and or sexual assault. 1-800-RESPECT.org.au have resources available, from checklists to what to include in a safety plan, support services, and how to keep yourself and your children safe. On a finishing note, it's not helpful to minimize abuse. It is best to call it for what it is. Abuse is never okay, and there is help available. I encourage you to share this episode so together we can continue to raise awareness around domestic violence. And in the meantime, keep safe. So that's it for today's episode. As always, I'm grateful for the opportunity to come alongside you. If you know someone who might benefit from hearing this episode, why not share it with them? For more content, head over to carmendebono.com.au, and I look forward to coming alongside you again next Wednesday.